with Councilmember Hernandez.
Oh, I want to invite everyone tomorrow to Davis Hall from 6 to 8 p.m. The Route 1 Corridor Study will be doing its final presentation on the findings of Baltimore Avenue, north of 193, and the Hollywood Commercial District. Additionally, the North College Park Civic Association will be having its annual potluck on December 12th at 7:30 p.m. Also at Davis Hall, come and enjoy some holiday cheer and fellowship with the members. I want to thank the City of College Park, our city staff, and our contract police for helping make the arrangements for a public safety meeting in response to some of the crimes that have been happening throughout the city. Thank you to Director Kokar and Kenny Young. The meeting will be on Tuesday, December 17th at 7 p.m. at Davis Hall. And finally, Helpers Do Good will be delivering small food baskets to exclusively to College Park residents. Invite you all to submit a request registration if you need some food between December 12th and December 19th. Thank you, Talhada.
Thank you. Wonderful. Dr. Esters.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to send good thoughts to students who are studying and taking finals right now, and to staff and faculty who are preparing to go on a very needed break.
They need them. Ms. Whitney.
Yes, just like to wish everybody a happy holiday season.
Yeah, this is the last meeting, by the way, of the year. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you again. It is the last meeting of the year. Happy holidays to everyone and their loved ones. Also want to say a huge thank you to our city staff for the wonderful event we had this past Saturday. Heard nothing but kudos, and it was well thought out, and a lot of people came through from other parts of College Park to participate, so a job well done. The last announcement I'd like to make is about health care. There are many individuals who are still looking to try to get health insurance. There will be another opportunity to do so on Friday, December 13th at the New Carrollton Library, which is at 7414 Riverdale Road in New Carrollton, Maryland, from 11 to 3. And I will pass this along to the city clerk to post. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Mackey.
Yes, I would just like to encourage residents to make sure that you subscribe to the weekly bulletin, which has all the changes due to the holidays for trash pickup and different things like that. And I just want to also echo a very happy holiday to not only the residents, but to all of the University of Maryland and our city staff.
Thank you. Mr. Adams?
Yes, tomorrow here at City Hall from 7 to 8 p.m. There is a listening session and panel regarding the property on Calvert Road that was acquired by the city a few years ago. So it includes currently a home that's essentially 4 apartments and the surrounding land. And the city will be presenting some of the understanding of the property and what could it become, and is also interested in just hearing residents from throughout the city state opinions of what you think we could do there, whether it's affordable housing, open space and parks, or some other ideas. We welcome those. It's from 7 to 8 p.m. here at City Hall, but it's also available via Zoom. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And the Zoom link can be found on the city's website, I believe. Thank you. Let's go to the student liaison, starting with Ms. Ott.
I just want to wish students good luck on their finals coming up and remind them of resources. We still have tutoring available at University of Maryland, as well as the Writing Center, and there's still the campus pantry available to students that need it.
Thank you. Ms. McDonald's?
Also just want to echo some of those thoughts, wishing everyone a happy holidays when it comes. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, let's go to our city manager, Mr. Young.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and residents of College Park. Just one quick announcement today. The U.S. Green Building Council announced their local 2024 Local Market Leadership Awards, and this year's the City of College Park, City Hall, has been recognized as an iconic award winner. These prestigious awards recognize projects, people, and partners from participating markets across the country for excellence in creating better buildings and improving the lives of local communities. And I'd like to thank our partners, the University of Maryland and the Terrapin Development Corporation, for all the hard work that we have done on this facility. As you all know, our residents have really come to enjoy the events that we hold here as well. So thank you.
Yes, congratulations. Thank you. All right, let's do the acknowledgement of the former elected officials. We have, I believe, at least 3 of them, and please tell me if you have more. Starting with Bob Catlin, former District 2 City Council member. Raise your hand. And we also have, I have seen Dave Milligan, District 1 up. Thank you so much, very nice to see you. And we have former County Council member Daniel Glaris. Thank you all for coming. It's very nice to see you all. All right, let's do a proclamation award. So actually I've got a couple of them. Let's do the Jack Perry Award to Alan Bradford. I need to go down and do this special thing. All right, where's Alan? Right here. And from Jack Perry family. Please come over, please.
And my other brother just got here.
How you doing? Hey. What's up, old man?
Getting older.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Thank you so much. You stay here. You're part of
I'm
the
here.
family.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Please just stay with us.
Sorry.
Yeah, will do. This is good, right? Okay. So, yeah, if we could all come together, maybe. Yes, you're one family. Come here.
Get my wife
So-
next to you.
It is my honor. It is my honor and distinct privilege to present this year's 2024 Jack Perry Award to Alan Bradford. Can I have a big round of applause, please? So you deserve it. Jack, and I want to thank the Jack Perry family, first of all, for coming up with this award and providing this award. It's so wonderful to have this award in City of College Park to recognize the best people in College Park. And I also want to thank someone who actually helped us in the nomination, Mary Ann Harnett, where she is.
Over here.
She's right over here.
Come over here.
She's the one who wrote the letter.
Thank you for a nomination. You found the right person. Thank you.
Jack would say so too.
Just come over. I know Alan for a while, and many of you actually know him even before my time. He has been in College Park since 73 or 74? 73. It's a long time, more than 50 years. That's a long time. And Alan has done so much. He has been the coach of the Boys and Girls Club for many, many, many years, and he has been the president. You have been the president of the Boys and Girls Club as well. And Alan has served as the member of Recreation Board for 18 years, correct? I got it. and the Ethics Board for 24 years. I got those numbers. So it's a long time you have been actually serving City of Residents, College Park residents. We have so many people that have benefited from your service. And since I became the city council member 2011, we became kind of friends, right?
Yes.
And I have the opportunity to serve Alan for so many years, and my phone is full of text messages, and he always texts me. He doesn't email me, and those are fantastic. And he cares about College Park, and my phone probably has dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of text messages over the years.
Yes, we have.
Thank you. He really cares about College Park. So thank you, Alan. Thank you, and congratulations to Alan, Janet, and the entire family. You have such a beautiful family, by the way. Can you please stand up and so that you could be recognized? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are so lucky to have Alan in our community. And with that, let me give it to you now. Okay, I know this.
Yeah, you hold.
Janet. Actually, you should be part of it too.
We'll come over here.
Yes.
I can't see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
I'm absolutely. I'm going to ask anyone from Jack Reed family to say a few words first. Yes. Thank you so much. Do you want to give it to Alan? Yes. Please.
I do.
No, give it to my wife, please.
This is yours. You should have it.
That's for you.
It is.
It is.
You're going to speak? Please go ahead. Just introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Perry. I'm the fourth of 6 of Jack's kids. My brother Sean is the oldest. Donna is so it goes Sean, Christine, Donna, Joseph, Jennifer, Colleen. Long and the short of it is, I think my sister said it when she wrote or talked at the meeting, Mr. Bradford was everywhere. I remember my first remembrance of him is this new man at church hugging everybody when they walked in. Kind of thought it was weird, but then he started showing up at the Boys and Girls Club with my dad at the Davis Hall for the uniforms. That place was a disaster. He would let us have a little more fun in there than my dad would. And then at the concession stand, he would give us free hot dogs. Don't tell my dad that. Just all the things. And then his 2 daughters were the same age as my younger sister, so they became good friends there. And then there was carpooling, and you either couldn't go anywhere in the neighborhood without Mr. Bradford or Mr. Perry knowing what you were doing and reporting it back to your parents. So it's been a long time and then Mrs. Bradford, she was always there supporting him, putting up with his antics. I think her and my mom are saints and deserve an award as well, just for that. But once the nominations came out, we as a family were very proud that you were there, and without a question, United Front 7-0, like you were our choice, and we're very happy.
Thank you very much.
For everything you did for the community, our family, our church, and everything. And you raised a great family yourself, the Hartnetts. I mean, we could go down a long line of College Park people that have appreciated you over the years.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Alan, do you want to say a few words?
Huh?
Do you want to say a few words, or?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know how to say it anymore. They
Thank you.
already said it.
I can give an opportunity to anyone from the family wants to come and say a few words. That's fine too. That's fine too.
Thank you very much for recognizing my
Thank you. Thank you. We're very happy to. Thanks so much again.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Give me some. You know I love you.
I love you too. Thank you, Alan, Mr. Alan Bradford's family, for taking the time to come. It's wonderful to see you all. All right. we have another proclamation, and this is in recognition of Mr. Lee Summer, and it reads as follows. Whereas we gather to honor a remarkable individual whose dedication to aviation and the community has left an indelible mark on College Park Airport and beyond, Mr. Lee Summer. And whereas since joining the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission as the airport manager in December 2014, Lee has been the steadfast steward of the world's oldest continuously operated airport. And whereas his passion for aviation cultivated over decades of pilot, since 1974, 50 years has been evident in every aspect of his work, with over 3,800 flight hours logged. Lee's commitment to aviation safety and excellence is unmatched. And whereas during his tenure, Lee accomplished significant milestones that will benefit the airport for years to come. He played a crucial role in overseeing the construction of the new operations building, ensuring it met the needs of our community and the demands of modern buildings, modern aviation. Under his leadership, we witnessed the successful paving of the apron, taxiway, and runway, enhancing safety and accessibility for all who use the airport. Moreover, Lee spearheaded vital obstruction remediation efforts, ensuring that our skies remained clear and safe for pilots and aircraft. And whereas Lee's enthusiasm for aviation was matched only by his love for his four-legged companion, Arrow, and airport dog, who has become a beloved figure at College Park Airport. Together, we have embodied the spirit of safety and community, reminding us all the joy and that aviation brings to our lives. And whereas as Lee steps into the new chapter of his life, let us express our deepest gratitude for his unwavering support, leadership, and dedication throughout his time here. His contributions have not only advanced our airport, but have also strengthened the bonds within our aviation community. And whereas Lee, thank you for your tireless efforts and the positive impact you have made. We wish you a retirement filled with new adventures, relaxation, and of course, plenty of time in the skies. And now, therefore, I, Fazil Kabir, Mayor of the City of College Park, join the City Council residents, staff, colleagues, and friends in expressing our deep appreciation and gratitude to Mr. Lee Summer for your service and dedication to the City of College Park Airport. We wish you a happy and healthy retirement and congratulate you on a job well done. Proclaimed this 10th day of December 2024, Fazil Kabir, Mayor, City of College Park, Maryland. I'm so happy to read that. I wish he could be here. All right, now we go to go for amendment and approval of the agenda. I see Dr. Estes raised his hand.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to move 24G 161 from consent to action.
Second. Oh, we don't have to second that.
Yeah, we do not need the vote because it's going the other way.
And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to add.
Okay, you have another?
Yes. Yes, I would like to add 24G 125 to the consent agenda. Okay, it has 125 on here. 165. It's approval to issue a proclamation in recognition of U.S. Senator Ben Cardin, which will be presented this Friday on December 13th, 2024.
Second.
All right. I need a vote for that one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? So that item has been added.
So,
need
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
I have my hand up.
You have another?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
I wanted to move to table the introduction of ordinance 240008, an ordinance of the mayor and council to amend chapter 175 taxation, 175-9 eligibility requirements, and 175-10 eligibility criteria concerning the grant of a tax credit for a revitalization tax credit, to table that and move it to a future work session.
Second.
Give a second. All in favor? Do I have the quorum? Mr. Attorney?
Oh, yeah, we have 5.
We have 5, okay, thank you. I want to make sure.
Because the quorum matters here.
Yes, the why is that I don't believe we are yet at consensus on what is in the proposed ordinance. And after, discussing things individually with different council members, and I thought it might be good for us to have one more brief session where we kind of land on where everybody wants to be, rather than work sessioning it tonight.
It's on action item, and you can propose an amendment.
Do you need more discussion?
I think there will be more discussion than might be warranted this evening.
Mr. Mayor, is there a second already? Because if so, we need to proceed.
Yeah, there's a second. Dr. Esther seconded it.
All right, we need to proceed.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You can vote now, that's okay.
I abstain. I'm not understanding
That's
why
fine.
we would delay, but that, because of people not here, that fails the motion.
Oh, you're abstaining, okay. We don't have 5 votes. We need to have the majority.
Is it 4 of the quorum?
Okay, actually, I've got the got the record votes.
Excuse me,
Councilman
Mr. Mayor.
Hernandez, I'm not sure you're following, so there is a motion on the table that asks to table action item 24008, the ordinance, for a future work session.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, can I be recognized first? then?
Please.
Can I get clarification on the rule? Because it didn't allude to the fact that we needed to have the numbers requested before this vote. So can I get a clarification? Oh, we need 5, or we need 6 for this to pass?
No.
We need 5.
We need 5 majority.
Councilmember Hernandez was not in.
So right now, he is there. So if we have 5 votes, it will pass.
Right.
So no, we haven't voted.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, we already voted on this. So the vote's been taken.
We can table it when it comes to action if that's what we
Yes.
want to do.
'Cause that's,
Okay.
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 I move to accept the agenda as amended.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? The agenda has been approved. So 24G 161 is going to action, correct? Yes. All right, now we go to the audience for public comments. Anyone wants to speak on any item which not on the agenda, the consent agenda? Mr. Cadlin?
Yes, thank
state-
you.
State your name and if you're resident.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Bob Catlin, resident of the Berwyn neighborhood in College Park. A couple of months ago, I said, because I attend meetings here occasionally, and I said I would take advantage of my time here to give you some historical information. I'm one of only 3 people in the city who served on the city council before 2000. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about various topics. Tonight it'll be pedestrian deaths in the city. If you go back before about 2000, State Highway did not believe that they should be putting sidewalks in. So the east side of Baltimore Avenue, north of University Boulevard, had practically no sidewalks. The west side had sidewalks on maybe about half the location. Another big issue was before about 2010, there was no traffic lights between Edgewood Road and University Boulevard. Because of the Mazda project, a traffic light was put in about 2010 on Hollywood Road. What's interesting is the pedestrian deaths in College Park in the last 35 plus years are in the low 30s. We've had as many as 3 deaths in 1 year, and that was about 8 years ago. That one summer downtown, we had 3 people died, and which led to the adoption of fencing downtown and also the lowering of the speed limit. But before then, typically, we had deaths that was like we had deaths from 0 to 2. But as I said, practically almost all those deaths were north of University Boulevard. Since that traffic light has been put in, we've had 0 deaths in that area. We've had some deaths elsewhere in the city. We've had 5 student deaths over the last 35 years. We had one a year ago down on, I think Rowott that was the last pedestrian death. We've had other deaths in the city on University Boulevard by the courtyards, Greenbelt Road by the Washington Post, a bicycle death crossing Paint Branch Parkway at the bike trail, and that may be it. We've had 2 fatalities of children under the age of 8. And looking now at the bike lanes, when I see all the people riding their scooters in the wrong direction, while we may not have too many deaths in the next 10 or so years, unfortunately, I think that we will have some scooter deaths on Baltimore Avenue in the bike lanes. So those are my observations from the last 35 years. So thank you.
Thank you for telling these stories as well. Sorry, Mr. Dorsch, please come over. State your name, your resident of College Park, proceed with testimony.
Mr. Dave Dorsch, longtime resident of College Park, about 50 years, something like that. Anyway, 2 things I wanted to mention tonight, and I mentioned this once before. The city needs to sell this house at 4704 Calvert Road. The city does not need to be in the house rental business. They sell the house with a lot that's right under the house. They keep the big lot next to it, and they can do whatever they want with that. But the house itself, the city should not necessarily keep. That was one thing. Let's see, what was the other one? I think, I don't know if now is the time, they were talking about voting 16-year-olds.
Tonight is on the agenda, so yeah.
Okay, we talk about that when it comes up in the agenda.
Yeah, not tonight, but this will be introduced tonight, so there will be an opportunity for public hearing at a later time.
At a later time. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much. And please make sure to attend the listening session this Thursday on 4704. Thank you. Please state your name and if you're a resident of College Park.
Hi, my name is Churan Zheng. I'm a student in UMD and I live here for like 1.5 years. And thank you for the opportunity to talk. And look at this. Grass, stone, metal debris. I pick it up in the bike lane on Baltimore Avenue. And imagine how hard, how sharp and how hard this grass is. Imagine how it can do to a bicycle tire. I bike here. And now think about what happens when a tire bursts while riding. The bike lost control. The rider may fall into the traffic and a tragic accident can occur. And even with a helmet, which I bring today, the injuries can be devastating. And do you ride bicycle? Do your kids ride bicycles? In College Park, particularly on Baltimore Avenue and the section of Greenbelt Road within our city, there are bike lanes. This is great because it encouraging green transportation. But these bike lanes are often littered with glass shards and small stones, debris wiping there when street cleaning machines doing their work. And these hazards are not just inconvenience, they are dangerous. As a biker, I've personally experienced flat tires because of this condition. It's very frustrating, expensive, and it's unsafe. Imagine when you're riding along, believing you are in a protected bike lines, not only to have a tire blow out and your handlebars jerk out of control. The danger is immediate and real. And Many of us, especially students in UMD, rely on bicycle to commute. We support the city's goal of green transportation and low carbon transportation. However, how can we continue to encourage biking when the bike lanes themselves pose such a serious threat to our safety? So this is why I'm here today to urge the city to take action. We need regular cleaning of bike lanes to remove dangerous debris. And if we fail to address this issue, it's not just the bikers who will suffer. It's a loss for College Park. It would be tragedy and a shame to lose lives because of something that is so preventable. And I urge you to imagine this city as a place where students and families can bike without fear. The cost of action is minimal compared to the cost of lives, injuries, and lost trust in our community. So thank you for your time and for prioritizing the safety of everyone who calls College Park a home. Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Do you want this debris?
Thank you for taking the time to collect those samples. We definitely will work with SHA to address the safety. Thank you so much. Please state your name and be for a resident of College Park. We know you are.
My name is Courtney Gray. I'm a resident of College Park. I've been here since 2019. And I just want to thank Denise and Maria and Kenny for looking into the accessibility issue of Crystal Springs. There is a huge parking issue. Streets are too narrow, and I appreciate you all putting in the work to addressing the issue. And I would like for you all to address next the landlord issue and the tenants and the amount of cars that are allowed and that shouldn't be allowed, work trucks, et cetera. Just too narrow. Can't get a ambulance down the street, fire truck. It's not safe. So I'm looking forward to your continued support. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. All right, anyone else wants to speak on any non-agenda items? I do not see any virtual hands. By the way, I see our former clerk, Janine Miller, has joined as well. Thank you, Ms. Miller, for joining us. All right, seeing none, let's go to the two presentations we have. The first one is approval of the consent agenda, correct? Yeah, so we have 4 items. One has gone, another is added. And let me read them out first. The first one is 24G160, which is the approval to install prohibited parking zones at the dead end turnarounds at 34th Avenue, 35th Avenue, 37th Avenue, and 38th Avenue in Crystal Springs. Second one is 24G161, approval of, this has gone out. 24G163, authorize city manager to execute a retainer agreement with O'Malley, Miles, Nyland, Gilmore, PA, for legal and lobbying services in 2025 at a rate of $2,500 per month for a total of $30,000. And finally, 24G165, approval of a, also we have 164, which is authorize the city manager to execute contract with the Price Modern at a cost not to exceed $41,691.85 for the purchase and installation of furniture for the Woods Community Clubhouse. And finally, 24G165, approval of a proclamation in honor of the service of Senator Ben Cardin. Can I get a motion? To
Motion to approve the agenda.
Consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? The consent agenda has been approved. Now we go to presentation, and thank you all from the University of Maryland and JTCC for waiting. So we'll invite first the University of Maryland, the Next Gen Energy Program presenters, and this will be probably done by Carla Colella. Thank you. Very nice to see you again.
It's wonderful to be here. Give me just a moment. There we go. And, oh, got the wrong slide. Sorry about that. Wonderful. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, city staff. My name is Carlo Colella. I'm a special assistant to the president, formerly vice president and chief administrative officer. And the last time I was here in front of this board, I was talking about a very important project just a few blocks away from here, our energy project. So I'm excited to be back and give you a bit of an update on what's going on and tell you what's ahead. So just as a reminder, what we call the Next Gen Energy program is a comprehensive program to modernize our energy systems on campus. What you see in this image in front of you is our antiquated power plant, but more importantly, the equipment in that power plant is at its end of its useful life, and we went through a very extensive process to select a concessionaire, to modernize the equipment there, improve distribution systems, also to improve facilities, energy facilities across the campus and take over operations campus-wide. So our existing plant, it was a cogeneration plant that was capable of producing about 26.5 megawatts of power. The new plant is a much smaller plant, and the capacity of the new plant is going to be 16.5 megawatts. In addition to that, it will also have, of course, modern, more efficient equipment than we have in the past. So there's a number of environmental and energy efficiency benefits that are coming as a consequence of this important work. This is part of President Pine's commitment to a sustainable path forward for the campus. On one of his first days in office, he set a goal to accelerate the campus's climate neutrality goal from 2050 to 2025. And further, he made a commitment to become fossil fuel-free by 2035 with our energy system. So this is part of that plan. It also fits in very nicely with the state of Maryland's very aggressive decarbonization targets, which you see on this screen. So the state of Maryland has the most aggressive decarbonization goals in the country, reducing carbon emissions by 60%, and also to reach net zero by 2045. And I'm very proud to say that the university is well ahead of both of those ambitious goals. President Pines had set a commitment to become carbon neutral on day one of the operations of this new plant, which will in total reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 23%. So that's a significant reduction in CO2 emissions. It also reduces our water consumption by, I think, 38 million gallons a year, which is about half of our water load on campus. We will also increase our purchase of energy from renewable sources. We have continued to actively pursue landfill gas as a renewable source. The new equipment will be able to run on renewable natural gas as well as hydrogen if that becomes economically available. And this is part of our goal to be, as I said earlier, fossil fuel free by 2035 with our energy systems. And as part of a comprehensive climate action plan that the campus has been on, we're actually on version 3 of that plan. And this is an important part of that program. So timeline, in the summer, for those of you who think all of the work on Baltimore Avenue is having to do with the Purple Line or state highway improvements. In fact, some of it is the demolition of a part of our service building. So that demolition was completed this summer. And this fall, the construction of an interim boiler plant is underway. I'll show you an image of that in just a second. That's needed in order to produce the steam that meets the heating load of the campus for the next couple of years while the plant is gutted and new equipment is brought in, which will happen in 25 and 26. And then after that, the steam distribution system on parts of the campus get improved, as well as some of our other district plant equipment. So these are 2 images. If you haven't been up the road a little bit, looking from sort of Fraternity Road towards the Rossboro Inn. You can see the equipment that has been installed and 2 images of that. So these are temporary boiler plants that will, as I said, provide steam while construction is underway, and then when construction is complete, that plant will be removed. There's a number of economic and community benefits to this endeavor. In addition to the environmental goals that I've mentioned a little bit, the Inflation Reduction Act from President Biden's legislation it provides an incentive for us to invest in equipment that meets the Inflation Reduction Act goals, and cogeneration is one of those technologies, and we expect to receive between $69 and $79 million from the federal government as a direct payment for investing in this technology. We also expect the construction activity will create 120 full-time trade jobs at paying a prevailing wage, as well as a 15% purchasing for the initial capital program by MBE and WBE entities. Much of the equipment in the plant is specialized, so that's why this number is not as high as some of our construction projects, but the subsequent phases of this work will have much more ambitious MBE, WBE goals. And then lastly, I want to mention the cogeneration plant enables us in times of crisis where the grid is taxed to take the campus's demand for power off the grid and enable the community to benefit from times of peak load, so Pepco doesn't have to meet the campus load when we can provide some of that ourselves. In addition to the plant itself, there's also a very detailed decarbonization study of all of our facilities on campus. So the concessionaire that we hired goes by the acronym of MEIP. It's a consortium of Plenary Americas, Kiewit Construction, and Honeywell. They will be undertaking detailed assessment of each of our buildings on campus, the heating, the cooling, power loads, see what we can do to further reduce energy usage at the building level. We did a study that resulted in us choosing the recapitalization of this plant, but we're going to go building by building and identify ways to further become efficient and sustainable and reduce consumption for utilities. So the next step in this very, very long journey of a project is the air permit process. We have received from the Maryland Department of the Environment a permit for the use of the temporary plant that I showed you pictures of a few minutes ago. And the next step here is to seek the air permit for permanent operations. And this is the concessionaire is the principal party responsible for putting that application together. They work very closely, not only with the Maryland Department of the Environment, but also our university's Department of Environmental Safety, Sustainability, and Risk. And in this effort, the submittal includes a review of the different emittents that come out of our plant. And it starts, and I'll show you a couple of slides with, just really 2 slides with a bit more detail. But in the application, and we expect the application to be submitted in the next few weeks, you'll see the some permit information, capacity of equipment information in there, and I wanted to put that in a little bit of context for you tonight in case you have some questions about that when you see it. The process will involve the public information session, and that's expected to happen probably soon after the start of the new year. And after that, there may be a public hearing called or may not be a public hearing called. There was in 1999 when we had the original plant improvements. But either way, we're prepared, we'll be ready, and the plant will, as you'll see in the next couple of slides, operate much below not only the existing plant, but also the permitted amounts. So the next 2 charts, a little bit busy here, but I'll try and orient you as best I can. across the bottom of the page are 6 different emittents, so nitrous oxides, carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, VOCs, volatile organic compounds, and particulate matter. So those are the 6 pollutants. And then on the left-hand side is the total emittance in a year's time. And the tall blue bars are the, and when I say emittance, this is the potential of the equipment to emit. So we have combustion turbine, boilers, and for each of the pieces of equipment, you calculate what's the maximum potential to emit out of each of those pieces of equipment. So in blue, this is for the existing plant when we submitted that permit 25 years ago. You can see the totals for the potential to emit each of those pollutants. And you can see in red next to that the much lower potential to emit for the existing equipment. Now, the potential emit is a very theoretical number because it means that everything would be operating at full capacity, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, which of course, you know, the campus needs don't include that. Additionally, when you run a power plant, you want to have equipment on standby. So, you know, we won't need to run all of the equipment to meet even our peak campus loads. So this particular chart, if you look at the application, you'll see these calculations, and I wanted you to understand that. In the next chart, you'll see, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can go back for a second here, page up. No, that's not going to work. Okay. The same color scheme here, same pollutants at the bottom, same volume on the y-axis, and the blue again is the 1999 equipment, and these blue bars are what we were permitted for use. So if you recall from the last slide, the equipment can emit quite a bit more. The permit that we obtained 25 years ago limits us to a much smaller number. And what you can see here is for the new equipment, which is shown in red, what we're seeking in the way of permit will be to reduce the emittance from our existing plant. Also, in yellow is what we estimate our actual emissions to be in the course of a year. So you can see, you know, pretty much for every single pollutant, not only are we far less than we were in the existing equipment, but our actual forecasted emissions are going to be well below the permitted amounts. So I just want to close with a reminder of the benefits of this project. Again, just to recap, you know, carbon neutrality on day one, greenhouse gas emissions reductions that are pretty significant. Also increases our purchase of energy from renewable sources, and part of the campus's fossil fuel-free goals and the state of Maryland's goals. And again, retains the capacity for the university to be a good partner to the community in times of peak power loads on the strain grid. And with that, for those who are interested in a lot of information, nextgen.umd.edu has a great number of resources, some nice videos, lots of facts and figures. And you can contact, you send in emails if you've got detailed questions, but if you've got any general questions,
sure,
I'm happy to try and address them now, along with my colleagues, Interim Vice President and Chief Administrative Officer Bob Bruning, and Assistant Vice President, Chief of Staff Daniel Polaris.
Thank you, Mr. Colella, for your presentation and for your work. So you have a passion for this project for a long time.
One of many.
One of many, including the purple line. One request, I'm sure you'll be doing, can you send the presentation to the city staff so that the council can have it?
Absolutely.
Please. I'll give the opportunity to my District 3 colleagues. And Councilmember Rake, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I apologize for being late. I had a child band concert tonight, so I was able to
That's what important.
sneak out and get right over. In any event, I'm pleased to see this project coming to fruition. I know that it was forced by the age of the plan and so forth, but I wanted to really note and underscore how far we've come just in the 15 years that I've lived, 18 years I've lived in the city, from when there were still residents who'd remember the prior debate over an incinerator on or next to that site, to now where we're talking about substantial reductions in emissions. So congratulations, and I appreciate the University of Maryland for a pretty progressive project and for meeting carbon net emission reduction goals. That's really good stuff. One question I had when reviewing the materials or looking at the presentation tonight was, it does seem like there's a projected potential increase in volatile organics. And can you speak? I mean, it's a minute.
It's
and compared
minute.
to everything else, it's vastly dwarfed. But can you remark or provide a little bit of context there about what
it is a very, it's a small amount and it's a small change. It's the equipment selection itself, and I don't have the technical answer. I can ask the team to, in fact, what I'll do is I'll ask the team to answer that specifically and send that to staff, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Then I'm sure that we will get questions about it. That way we'll be in a better
Right.
position to be able to respond. And apart from that, and I apologize, perhaps you covered this in the beginning, but I bet not. Can you talk a little bit about what to expect on and around the site over the course of the next couple of years? Because this is it's in the northern end of District 3. It's, as you very well know, directly adjoining a highly successful commercial enterprise, both in terms of the hall, but also importantly the hotel. And it can be in the Purple Line. It could be,
And
it could be
WeWork,
a,
don't
it
forget
could be a
about
hot
WeWork.
mess over there,
Right.
and it'd be helpful just to have a general idea about what. And I realize that perhaps pieces still need to fall into place a bit, but what we can tell residents, student and non-student residents, to expect both in terms of noise and construction, traffic on the back end of Fraternity Row there, but also in terms of accessing those businesses and any impacts there might be on those businesses.
Yeah, actually, I think the traffic and noise going forward is likely to be similar or perhaps even a little bit less than what it took to install the temporary plant. So the temporary plant, it was a demolition project, and then the construction in the open, in the open air of all that piping and welding and all that sort of thing. So the future work, the demolition will be of the equipment inside the plant itself. So that ugly old brick box will be a bit of a sound attenuator. We'll probably need a bit more staging area, but the good news is the Purple Line construction along Rossborough Lane. Right now, that section of roadway between Baltimore Avenue and Diamondback Drive is closed for Purple Line construction, and that piece of construction, I think, is slated to be finished in the spring of this year. So that will open up the roadway between Baltimore Avenue and Diamondback Drive. I know it's a bit of an inconvenience now to have to maneuver around that. So I don't think the future construction of the plant is going to be any worse than what you may have experienced over the last few months.
Okay, and the hours aren't going to change. I haven't heard from student residents in that section about sort of nighttime construction or noise beyond, the usual Baltimore Avenue noise. So that you don't project that that's going to change either.
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's very helpful.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Adams, there.
Yeah, I just want to echo my colleagues' comments about, this is something that I think not only the university community will appreciate, but the entire College Park and region, and it's a state goal as well. So thank you for pursuing that. I think I heard during the presentation, you talked about water usage. Can you restate, did you say it would cut the use of water by the university in half?
Yeah, I know it's 38 million gallons, and I think it's 50%. And that 50% is a function, the existing plant being very inefficient consumes a lot of water. Also, the steam distribution system, you generate steam, you push it out, and then you're supposed to capture the condensate, return it into the plant, and reuse that water, clean it and reuse it. And because of leaky condensate system and thermal losses, we have to generate a lot more steam, and we don't capture as much condensate as we will when those improvements are made. So that's why, and it's a huge amount of water, and it's all potable water.
Yes,
So-
definitely. That's another great feature of what's going on here. And the other comment I have, and I know at the university you're already aware of this, but with the new Mosaic graduate student housing, somewhat near that location, as folks learn the paths to get to campus and to get to Baltimore Avenue, and just making sure that we're well coordinated with that new housing, so that there's good guidance on that new traffic flow, because we are anticipating more folks walking in the area, and just making sure we make that a priority. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mackey.
Yes, I have just one question. You said that your goal is to take some of the load off of Pepco. Is there a thought about possibly selling to Pepco, or when the university isn't using all of the power that they're generating?
Yeah, we explored that, but we did not pursue. It's a more complicated process to try and be a generator. We want to, the power that we generate, both from the plant, but also from our solar system. We have solar panels. Sorry, someday.
It's like
Fusion's coming.
planet.
We have installed solar panels on a number of our large roofs, and we can generate a maximum capacity of 3 megawatts. But that's all for internal consumption. Our campus power loads in peak season in the summer, 50 megawatts, 54 megawatts, and in the wintertime, 20 to 25 megawatts. So we never find ourselves in a position where we have such generation capacity that there's an excess of what we need on campus.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, thank you again for your work, and thank you for coming to the City Council and presenting it.
It's always a
We'll
joy
be
to
in
be
touch.
back.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's go to the second presentation, which is about the Junior Tennis Champions Center at JTCC College Parks on their expansion plan. And this will be kicked off by our Director of Planning, Miriam Bader. Welcome, Ms. Bader.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Junior Tennis Champions Center, located at, also known as JTCC, located at 5200 Campus Drive, is doing well, and it needs to expand to better serve their demand. Mr. Joe Wilkerson, the Chief Operating Officer for JTCC, will provide a PowerPoint presentation explaining their plans. Tonight is an opportunity for Council to relay their questions, comments, and concerns regarding the expansion of the facility. If Council has no issues with the proposal, then they can authorize staff to review the mandatory referral at staff level. However, if Council has concerns and would like to review the final accepted application, then a motion should be made to express this. So I'm here right now to introduce Joe Wilkerson, who will talk about the plans.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. As Miriam said, I'm Joe Wilkerson, COO for JTCC. Also joining me tonight is Brad Frome, our board member at JTCC, also an advisor and with Rise Investment Partners, and then also our land attorney, Bill Shipp, with OMN&G. And I thought I would show you guys a little bit about what we are, who we are at JTCC, what we do. We operate what's known as a world-class tennis center here in College Park, Maryland, and known across the globe for what we do right here in the city. Our mission, we create opportunities, build communities, and unlock the potential in every individual through tennis and academics. We are a nonprofit organization. We use the sport of tennis to improve lives. We are leaders and energetic proponents of providing excellence in tennis, supported by quality education, character training. We provide tennis and opportunities for people of all backgrounds and impairments, and we include adaptive athletes as well. We emphasize preparing underserved youth for college educations. Just an example of the press that we've brought to the city and the county. Since we opened our doors in 1999, we've been featured several times, as you'll see, in the Wall Street Journal, the Times, the Post. Been on major network TV many times. Most recently, we hosted a watch party at the Hall down the road and got coverage. We get coverage from ESPN on that during the U.S. Open. A few highlights I thought we'd go through, and you can read what's on the screen here, but a few that I'd like to point out is when we opened in 1999, most of our students and members came from outside the county and center. The majority of the people that we serviced came from outside areas, Northern Virginia, Montgomery County. But today, we have over 70% of our customers coming from within the county, and in this past year, over 1,200 residents of the city have utilized our facility. We currently have 125 students from under-resourced neighborhoods in our development pathway and 34 in our high-performance pathway, all on some amount of financial aid, which we provide through charitable giving or through our success of our operations. We host the largest adaptive tennis program in the nation, serving over 2,000 wheelchair and standing para-athletes, Special Olympians, and veterans. And staying true to our mission, our founder, Ken Brody, who funded JTCC instruction and funded us through the first 10 years of our operations, our graduates have earned more than $25 million in college scholarships. Continuing with our community outreach programming that we provide, we are currently in 21 schools throughout Prince George's County, the district, 2 here in College Park, both Hollywood Elementary and the College Park Academy. Our adaptive tennis program, as I mentioned, served over 2,000 participants this past year. We service wheelchair athletes, para-standing athletes, Special Olympians. We have a program for acing autism, and we service a veterans community as well. You know, we've been really lucky in growth, and I should say we've been fortunate to really grow the tennis community here. And our strategic plan, in a nutshell, over the next 5 years is to really improve both the quantity and quality in the 4 areas listed on the screen. That said, it's led us to a need for an expansion, and we've been eyeballing this site for decades now, long before my time at JTCC. And our expansion would include 10 courts, 6 would be indoor, 4 outdoor. The administration part of this facility would have 8,000 square foot of finished space. It will be the home of the University of Maryland women's tennis team. We'll have the ability to have food and beverage on site with a restaurant capability. It will become the new front door to JTCC, as well as have our pro shop and other small amenities, offices, and conference room space in there as well. I've left the next few slides here. I'll just scan through, give you guys an idea. These are just some of the renderings of the site. This is the main entrance lobby once you come into the new facility. A picture of what the University of Maryland's locker room in the facility would look like. This would be the view from the observation deck on the 2nd floor looking onto the 6 indoor courts. So it's kind of elevated over looking back into the facility. Restaurant area space here. And this is the current rendering of the exterior of the building as it sits on the current site that we're proposing. So the expansion would be proposed to be on the 94th Aero Squadron site, the old 94th Aero Squadron restaurant site. We're in an amazing spot. We link the trail network, the airport museum, and our existing JTC site. Our landlord will be MNCPPC, and JTC's current landlord is MNCPPC. As you'll see here on the old 94 site, is being currently used for MNCP storage for maintenance equipment, mowing, that sort of thing. And then on this site, we've highlighted where the current access trail connects to the current Paint Branch trail system. So the trail running by the tennis courts, as you'll see in this picture above, cuts between the old 94 site and is adjacent to our current outdoor courts on our current site. And then on this slide, what we've shown is the rework to the site, improvements to the trail, connectivity to the airport museum, JTC's new front door, and a much better vista of the airport runway. So as you'll see now, the trail where it currently went through right by our courts in this zone, if you can see my mouse on the screen, is now going to wrap around the facility, run parallel to the runway, and then come back around, still connecting back to the Airport Museum in that facility as well, with connectors to our front door and connectors back to the access road, back to Campus Drive. Our current construction time, we're ready for mandatory fill right now. We hope to have a hearing in the first quarter. Construction starting in the third quarter of next year and opening our doors in the third quarter of 2026. And so that's all I have for our presentation. Thank you for your time. College Park is our home. We're proud to be here. We love what we do here in the county and in the city. And additionally, we are open to as much collaboration with the city as possible. For more programming, the more we can offer, the more we can do, the more opportunity we have to fulfill our mission. And we're here to answer any questions the council may have.
Certainly. Thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you for coming up with the plan because you have grown so much, and it is important that you make the adjustment. You mentioned about Brad Fromm, right?
Yes.
Has he joined us?
Yes, he is.
Oh, he's inside. Okay. I want to make sure. He's a good friend of us. Thank you. Councilors, let's give District 3 again because it is in District 3.
Yes, first of all, thank you for all that you've done for our immediate community and the surrounding communities. It's really, I think everyone knows Francis Tiafo now and all the excitement with it and all the, the attention that it's brought the city of College Park in such a positive light. And so thank you for helping make that happen and helping to continue. Really love to see all the numbers you have, and really it speaks for itself, right? It's not questionable if you're in the community or serving our residents and our neighboring communities. It's happening in front of us. And so, I'm personally excited for what we see here. I have neighbors that go to JTCC every day if they can to play. And so my question is, what has the interaction been with the airport, and just making sure that their concerns and their voice has been heard in this process?
So we've had several meetings with the airport management and being MNCPPC. We did go in front of the airport authority on November 20th of last year to present the project and show them the project. No major concerns at the time were brought up to us. We've also applied to the FAA, and the FAA has approved the project, allowing us to put light beacons at the highest points on the building. We're not in the direct path of the runway. We are adjacent to the runway, so we have addressed and come to a conclusion that this is a viable option on that piece of property.
Excellent, thank you. And then also want to share that the City of College Park, in coordination with our 21st District delegation and other stakeholders, have been actively working to create even more connectivity of the trail network in that area, particularly the Paint Branch Old Calvert Road Park, and creating a bridge over the, I think that's the Northwest Branch Creek. Correct. That might be incorrect, but I think most people understand what I'm speaking to there. And we would really love your advocacy in joining us to help make sure MNCP's, Maryland National Capital Parks and Planning Commission, helps us get to a finish line for adding a bridge that connects the east side to the west side, so that you don't have to circumnavigate onto the roads and all those different ways. So we really would love for you to be part of that advocacy, especially since you have direct conversations with them ongoing. And so do we. And so as much as you can to encourage that, we would definitely love to see that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Rick?
Yeah, just a couple quick questions. First is there any anticipated tree loss based on the construction? It looks like it's mostly going to be, sort of over the existing 40,
very little,
and 57th Air Squadron.
I don't have the presentations that back up on the screen now, but very little. In fact, the stormwater management pond or retention area that we're proposing on the site, we've stayed. We've actually, that trail where it shows it bowing out a little bit, right here where the A marker are on the page, that's actually going to come back in a straight line as it exists now. So we're going to be able to avoid and minimize as much tree impact as possible. So this trail as it exists today is in a straight line right here. We were going to bow it out. We've been able to move the pond a little more this way, the water retention this way, so that we don't have to do this and don't have to impact very many trees. We will have a few tree losses, some tree loss between the current site and our existing site. There's a row of trees right in here. There'll be, half a dozen trees that we're going to lose in the construction of this building. But in general, we've done everything we can to minimize it. And there is a tree study going in on the site as well. So.
Okay. Will you send that to staff when you've
Sure.
completed that? Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the other question I have is, residents have noticed there's been rare occasions, but it does happen, where parking demand for accessing the site exceeds the amount of parking easily available on the site. And people have parked on grass, and they've sort of been very creative with things. And I think Park Police has gotten grumpy with you guys a couple times too. Do you anticipate being able to accommodate sort of all events and all event sizes and parking for demand on
Yeah.
site?
So first of all, this site won't allow us to do necessarily more events. It's just to take care of the normal flow of business that we have every day, to accommodate the normal flow of traffic. The bigger events that we have a handful every year. This will help us a lot because this adds almost an additional 80 parking spots to our current location, which we only have about 30 right now on our site. We do have an agreement with MNCPPC for use of the ice ring across the street in the parking lot. So we do have an agreement to use that already in place. That will hopefully eliminate the need for anyone to cross the street there and be able to park everybody on site, notwithstanding a couple maybe large events of the year in which we have to have people park at the metro station parking garage or adjacent parking lots.
Understood. And then I just wanted to underscore my colleague's point about that branch trail, or the trail connection too, because I think that could be an amenity for users of JTCC as well.
Sure.
It would permit residents of nearby neighborhoods who currently can't walk to the facility to be able to walk to the
across,
facility. And also, like, if you guys, you already do summer camps and things, it would open up a really nice playground in a park, which could, in essence, be able to expand your capacity. I think
Absolutely.
it could be a source of revenue for sustaining the JTCC. So anyway, as Stu said, appreciate any advocacy you could provide with Park and Planning, who's been inexplicably resistant to building that bridge. Thank you.
Noted.
Thank you, certainly. Mr. Hernandez, and then Dr. Esters.
Just want to say how awesome it is to hear that we are in so many different news sources. I've seen it, I've heard it from a lot of my, I guess, more tennis-oriented friends of mine. I was wondering if there were any plans. I know that you just mentioned that there weren't any plans to really bring in new programs, but any plans to expand and host any major tournaments, given that tennis is kind of having a moment at the moment.
We'd love to do that. Unfortunately, we don't even. We would be talking about a much larger project than this to host a major tournament. The facilities needed to host a tournament of a level which would draw a substantial amount of traffic and tourism for that event would be twice the size of what's currently at the current site for the Mubadala City Open. And we do not have access to that kind of real estate to build that kind of venture.
Okay. Well, that's great. I saw that you guys have been doing a number of different programs for different folks. It doesn't have to be in this discussion, but if it's possible to just become a little bit better aware, so I could help promote some of those programs, especially locally, right?
Absolutely.
From the city of College Park, to get some of those residents out there. The north part of College Park sometimes forgets that there is a JTCC, and just reminding them is always a good opportunity, especially since we're always looking for social sports. I mean, at all ages, but it sounds like you're focused mostly on those earlier ages, right?
Yeah, we loved the earlier we introduced the sport, the better. And I will say this, we do have one of the largest adult learn-to-play programs as well. So while our mission centers around children in general and those with disabilities, we definitely have a huge learn-to-play program. This past year, we did 1,000 new adults learn to play tennis at the College Park site who've never played tennis before. So new adults to the sport. So we constantly are out there introducing people to the sport of tennis. That said, we're also always looking for outreach sites. We're looking for parks. We're looking for schools that are interested in having programming on site. Because as we talk about this expansion, we are at capacity on our current site.
Sure.
So it's actually more convenient for us. It's a hassle, but it's convenient too to get off site and be able to deliver programming, touch more people.
Sure. Okay. Well, we'll keep that in mind when I'm just talking to the different institutions. I just want to underscore the continued engagement that you could keep with the airport authority. I know that you all are basically you both share the same sort of landlord, right?
Yeah, we all have the same landlord, yes.
Yeah, but just any continued engagement. I know that the FAA can approve it ahead of time, but just as it gets built out, I think that continued engagement will help them feel a little bit better as well.
I understood. We realize there's a coordination too, and we have the if construction going through, that we have a crane on site, that we have to coordinate when the crane is up and down and lit and all those good things.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Before I go to Dr. Estes, Councilor Hernandez brought a good point about community engagement, and I know that's not the reason he came here, but JTCC is kind of hidden gem. I mean, it's in College Park, where very few of our residents actually know about it. When I took the tour, I talked about it as well. I think we have a wonderful opportunity to promote your programs and events more among the College Park residents.
Sure.
So we have a very robust communication department. So if you could send any event flyers or any announcements, we'd be very happy to, this is an MNCPC facility, right? I mean, it's on their land, on the parking planning
it's on MNCP. They're our landlord. We have a land lease.
Yeah.
So we currently we're currently on a 40-year lease, and I think we're in year 5 of 40 or something like that.
Right. So any events you have, please let us know. We'll be very happy to promote it in the community.
Love to.
Thank you. Dr. Estes.
I would like to also express my excitement for the expansion and all that you've shared and all the work that you've done through programming and introducing the sport to so many people. With that said, you've talked about some of the programs that you've already done. And I wondered, I was thinking about the elementary schools that exist within the city, and you'll be right near Lakeland Paint Branch Elementary School, which is in Lakeland. I thought about Hollywood Elementary School. Do you currently have programming that you're doing with those institutions?
We have been trying to get in more and more schools in Prince George's County as a whole for the longest time. It's always a challenge to work within a schools district and a school system. There's plenty of roadblocks for very good reasons, actually. That said, we just started our first ever program at Hollywood Elementary this year. So this year we're in Hollywood Elementary. We'd love to be in Lakeland. We'd love to be in as many schools as we can. I mean, being in the city of College Park, it's easier for us to get there, right, in other parts of the county. So we'd love to continue to expand that relationship with those schools, and the more the merrier.
Well, I think it would be great to have connection to all the schools
Yes.
within the city where possible.
Absolutely, and we provide free programming and equipment to the schools, so the PE teachers get to keep the equipment on site and use tennis as part of their curriculum during the course of their day. It's not just hey, we're going to show up, show you something, and just peel out of here. Here's the program, here's how you deliver it when we're not here, and here's everything you need to do those programs.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry, Ms. Whitney.
Yes, just a very quick build on what Councilmember Esther said. There is a tennis court right around the corner from Paint Branch Elementary School, so I think they could very much benefit from that and just walk over there, or teach the classes very close by without buses or any of that stuff.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Good idea. Ms. Mackey.
Yes, I have two quick questions. Is MNCPPC completely vacating the 94th Aero Squadron?
They would be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for that. And as you, I saw the beautiful plans, but as you continue with the plans, are you considering any kind of green initiatives, like possibly solar panels on the roofs and other, like you said, that you're working hard not to take down too many trees, but also the path is going to be beautiful, doing work there at the path, and possibly any other green initiatives, like environmental initiatives.
We hope to be net positive in trees by the time we replant on the current 94th parcel. That said, also, we'd love to look at solar options if available. We are, again, working with the FAA, the Airport Authority, to make sure those things don't interfere with anything over there. We don't want to be an interference. We'd love to do the more the merrier of that. EV charging stations will be on the site. We're looking at having a couple of those, which would be handle 4 cars at a given time versus, the ones that do 2 at a time versus having 4 individuals. If possible, we're going to look at some stormwater or rainwater capture for the use of our courts. If you're familiar, outdoor clay courts, which are permeable to some extent, but do require water. So if we can use stormwater, gray water to water those, that's always, it's always preferable because it saves on the water as well that we would use.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else wants to speak? So, anyone from your side?
Yeah.
Please go forward.
If I
Welcome.
could just underscore one thing. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, Francis Tiafoe is our most famous player at JTCC, but our second most famous is Carlo Colella, who's actually here. So I just want to point that out. Councilmember Rigg, you mentioned Park and Planning's inexplicable resistance to that bridge. We often face that with the school system. And it's easy to understand why the school system wants to be diligent in who they allow to offer programming in schools. I mean, that's obviously understandable. But part of the mission, as Joe mentioned, is getting kids college scholarships who might not otherwise be able to afford college. And part of that starts with introducing kids to tennis who might not otherwise play it. So we would ask for your help in advocating to the school system to let us, we will go to every school system that will have us. Not only creating a healthy habit for kids in a sport that they can play for a long, long time, up until they're much older, where other sports might not be an option, but also to find those guys who could really be part of our system and get a college scholarship who might not get one. So we would ask for your help to get us into every school, not only in College Park, but in the entire county. And then also just want to underscore, promoting the events we have through the communication channels that the city has is great, but let's talk about really forming a partnership to introduce as many College Park residents to JTCC to come out and play tennis. Let's sit down in a separate outside this forum perhaps and talk about how we can do that, because I think we'd be willing to offer discounts on classes, on lessons promoted specifically to College Park residents, because this is our home, and we want to have as many residents participating at the center. So thank you.
Thank you so much. You read my mind actually on the discount thing. I was thinking that if you could talk. Thank you so much. Anyone else wants to speak? Seeing none. Yeah, thank you so much and wish you all the best. And because I think Ms. Bader, you mentioned unless the council wants to have any change, we don't really need a motion, correct? From tonight. Please come forward.
So this is a mandatory referral application, so meaning that we do not have the authority to put conditions on it. So if everyone's comfortable with it, you could authorize staff to review it when it comes through for mandatory referral, and if it looks okay to just pass it along. However, if you want to see it again, then I would recommend that you make a motion that it be brought to you at the time that it's accepted, that the mandatory referral application's accepted.
Certainly. I live up to District 3 colleagues. Do you want to, Councilmember Adams? You're good? Okay, we'll pass. Looks like.
Oh. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, that makes life easy. Thank you so much for your time. All right, so we're done with the 2 presentations we had. So we do not have public hearings. Now we go to action items, and we have 3 of them. The first one would be 2408. It wasn't tabled. Actually, 4 of them. Right. Yeah. 2402, 08. Yeah, it is an action item. It is not tabled. It failed, right? Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going there. So certainly, Ms. Whitney, do you want to take? You're going to table it.
I don't, it didn't seem like the spirit was there to table it immediately, so, oh, okay. Okay,
You move a motion, basically.
yeah. Okay. I make a motion to table this, the introduction of this ordinance, and to move it to a work session, a future work session.
Second.
Oh, sorry, the
2408.
Ordinance 24008, an ordinance of the mayor and council to amend chapter 175 taxation, et cetera, for the revitalization tax credits.
Second.
All right, further discussion? Why you want to do it?
Yes, my reason for doing so is that I think we're getting very close to agreement on council on this, but I think there's still a couple of things that people are still hashing out. As far as student housing being specified in paragraph A, I think some people would prefer not to have a reference to student housing. Others would prefer to have a reference to affordable student housing. And then there's also other items that were discussed in the past meeting that I don't know if everyone is in agreement on. Single-family detached housing being excluded, and then this is completely my fault. I had not thought about the fact that it might also be nice to be able to use the credit to support the renovation of exterior room access hotels and motels. I think it would be great to be able to use a tax credit to renovate those and turn them into perhaps senior housing or affordable student housing. So those are kind of the things that I had in mind, and I don't know if my
Certainly.
peers have other.
Yeah, so to follow the rule, I need to go to the audience, but is there any question before I go to the rule? Mr. Hernandez?
Just a question to city staff. Is there any impact if we table this and move to a different, just things that we're not seeing?
No, right now, it's not going to have any impact on any current applications or anything like that.
Good. It's not, just not happening this year, next year, because there's the last meeting. So seeing none, let's go to the audience. If anyone has any questions, I do not see any virtual hand. Let's come back to the council. Any comments or questions before I take the vote? Seeing none, let's take the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? So with a vote of 6-0-1, it has passed. Thank you. I think I'm right. All right. Let's now go to 24 CR02, introduction of charter resolution of the Mayor and City Council to amend Article 4 voting and elections, Article C4-2 registration of voters for vote 16. Is that Ms. Allen, you are going to take it? Your mic, please.
So this charter amendment basically will allow 16-year-olds to vote. 16-year-olds to vote only in city elections, and they have to register with Prince George's County. We're just removing the number 18 and replacing it with 18 in this ordinance.
All right.
Charter resolution, excuse me.
Okay. Any question for, I think we discussed this before, for Ms. Allen. Mr. Rick?
Yeah, unless there's any questions, I'll be happy to take
introduce it.
The introduction, yeah. I move to introduce Charter Resolution 24-CR-02, a charter resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of College Park to amend Article 4, voting in elections, Section C4-2, registration of voters, stating any person residing within the corporate limits of the City of College Park who is registered to vote with Prince George's County Board of Elections and will be at least 16 years of age on Election Day shall automatically become a registered voter of the City of College Park and be entitled to vote at general or special elections of the City of College Park.
Thank you. We do not need a vote. And when is the public hearing? I think I saw it somewhere. February 4th, is it?
February 4th, please.
February 4th, 2025.
February 4th.
Yeah, so that is the time when the residents will get an opportunity to speak on this item. Thank you. All right, that was easy and fast. Let's do 24G157, which is approval of the 2025 council meeting schedule. Mr. Young, I see your name there.
Okay, hold on a second.
Ms. Allen actually has.
Ms. Allen, you're going to.
We haven't done 165 yet. Okay. So again, we bring back the mayor and council schedule. We placed 3 in the packet for you. Version A, which is 30 meetings per year with 1 Saturday budget work session. Version B, 38 meetings per year with 1 Saturday budget work session. And then the additional one that we placed in this week was the version C, 34 meetings per year with 1 Saturday budget work session. So staff supplied council with an abbreviated meeting details for the years 22, 23, and 24. And I just want to let you know that it would be up to you. The staff is recommending A because of the fact that mayor and council may remove or add meetings throughout the year as they seem necessary, as long as the public is notified. And so it would be up to council at this time.
Certainly, thank you. So it's basically follow the current structure, which is 30 council meetings in a year.
That
and
is
one
correct.
budget.
That's current, what we have now.
Okay, thank you. Question, Ms. Mackey and then Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. I don't know if everyone heard that, but you said that the council has the right to add and subtract meetings. What is the process for doing that? Like,
We just have to give notice to the public when we're having a meeting. We like to give notice well in
a
advance.
week or 2 weeks? How much does that have to be?
It would vary.
If we just have to make sure we're following the Open Meetings Act. It's a reasonable amount of notice, usually not under 24 hours notice.
Yeah, it has to be posted on city's website. Mr. Hernandez.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that I didn't send this out, but I'd like to I guess test the council's temperature on requesting a day for us to have some sort of training to professionalize our approach here on the dais. And I say that in the best possible way because, I mean, I think we had a question whether we should do 30 meetings, 38 meetings, 34 meetings. And really the big issue was that we continue to go over time. And I think it's just frankly because we all have different styles, but maybe if we all had just one dedicated day of professional coaching, and maybe learning best practices on how to go into meetings, it could be beneficial not only to our cohesiveness, but also to keep these meetings tight and for the best interest of the city as a whole.
Thank you. We have done that kind of training and as part of the retreat, correct, in the past. Mr. Young, are we planning any retreat next year?
We've done a advance, because we don't retreat here, we only advance forward.
Don't go back. That's not the right word.
But that is, we've typically walked through the meetings, meeting decorum. I think our struggle last year to be able to do that was actually finding a time that was available for everybody due to everyone's schedules.
Okay, this year will be, so we'll cover it. Thank you.
But I didn't know if we wanted to approve that, or include that in today's discussion, is what I'm saying.
Will that be part of our meetings?
No, that is not part of the numbers that are attached here.
Okay.
This is a meeting that you can add to the agenda.
Yeah.
To your schedule, excuse me.
And if I could add to, that would be more of an administrative type meeting. It would not be a public meeting.
Public meetings. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to my Council District 1 representative for making that suggestion. I think that is a great suggestion to move forward for next year for if we have an advance. But I think at this junction, I think it would be best for us to go ahead and continue with the version A, which is the 30 meetings. And as our clerk so eloquently said, we can add meetings when necessary depending on the subject matter that comes up.
Thank you. Dr. Estes first, then Mr. Adams next. Yeah, I forgot to.
That's not a problem. I concur. I believe that we can maintain the meeting structure that we have now. I think the most important thing for me is that staff needs to be able to do the work that we consistently ask them to do. And to be quite honest, there's been a lot. So we have been asking a lot of staff, and we need them to help us be prepared. And I think the more meetings that we have, I don't know that that's going to reduce time, quite honestly. And I think that where we have jam-packed meetings of very important topics, they may very well go longer. I say again that we'll just need to work on constraining ourselves, and I think that the idea of an advance that we've done in the past may be able to help us.
Thank you. Mr. Adams, then Mr. Rigg.
Yeah, I think in reviewing the data, I don't think it's overly skewed to say that if we have less meetings, they're longer. I think there is some slight evidence there, but it's not overwhelming, at least from what I see in the data. But I will continue to say that I'm more supportive of the 34 meetings. When these meetings last long, I think they impact everyone involved, including staff. And as we look at putting agenda items ahead, I think we can push ourselves to be more succinct and push ourselves to have meeting agendas that are hopefully, really just 3 hours long or less. And also philosophically, I think it's much easier to cancel a meeting than it is to add a meeting. And so we kind of talk about this, we can add or cancel a meeting at any time. I don't really see it except for a cancellation. Adding is a much bigger ask, I think, because people have family schedules and holidays and other things that they are planning for a while, and to add an additional meeting to me sounds like something that's a little bit more difficult than to cancel. So I'm still supportive of the 34 meetings.
Thank you, and I want to thank staff. I think it's Ms. Allen who did a fantastic job in collecting all the data. It's very painful, but you did it. Thank you so much. Mr. Rigg, and then Ms. Mackey.
Yeah, just I'll be very brief. If we do an advance, I think we should also talk about council rules too, because I think there's, while training is good, training is probably, in my view, insufficient. I think we could probably tighten up our rules as well. Maybe the training could, if we do it right, maybe the training can help us live within whatever boundaries we aspire to in our rules.
Certainly. And we have also, I think every 2 years we review the rules, council rules every 2 years?
Yes.
But to Councilor Rigg's point, we can change our role. It's our role, we can change anytime. Ms. Mackey.
Yes. As I was thinking about this, and I stated last week that, I could go with whatever my colleagues are what's best for them, but I was thinking of the fact that we have an election in November, and asking the staff to prepare for a lot of meetings in September and October can be very hard. I can remember when I was on Board of Election Supervisors how much time the staff works on elections. So that's why I asked the question that I did of Ms. Miller of how hard it is to add. I understand Mr. Adams' concern that adding might be harder than subtracting. I guess we would see, but I think that I'd like to just try doing the 30 meetings. I'd consider going up to 32, but I don't really think it's necessary. And one of the things I did want to say is I don't know how staff feels about this because I should have asked them, but having an August meeting, I would be totally fine if we didn't have an August meeting so that the staff could have a time where they can go on vacations. It's very hard for a lot of our staff members to get away on a vacation. So I mean, if August 6th, we could just not do it at all or do it on maybe June 17th or a different date, that would be fine with me also. But I guess I kind of changed my tune a little bit in that I'm gonna stick with 30 meetings. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Allen, do you have a comment? Please
We
go ahead.
think our charter, we believe our charter states that we have to have one meeting a month, and the attorney's checking it now.
Oh, I didn't know. Mayor Protem,
Yes, Mr. Mayor, with that being said, I would like to call for the question to move, to go ahead and make the motion.
please go ahead.
I would move to adopt version A of the 2025 Mayor and Council meeting schedule.
Second.
All right, further comments?
No, Mr. Mayor, we had a robust discussion. We'll go ahead to the vote.
All right, because it's an action item, I need to go to the audience, wonderful audience they have in the room and online. Seeing, I need to check it. I don't only blame that I didn't recognize anyone. Seeing none, let's come back before we take the vote. Any further comments? Final one? Mr. Adam.
I think Councilmember Mackey's discussion about the election and how that impacts September and October meeting schedules and obligations is very compelling, so I'll be voting on 30 because of that.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none, all in, Mr. Young.
Please take your vote, and I do have.
After that, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? So the schedule has been adopted. Thank you, staff, for your work. Mr. Young.
And I just wanted to verify that I understood the direction from the council is also to look at a date for an advance coming up early in this next year. Is that your direction to me?
Please do. We'll appreciate it. Thank you. All right, we have the one that has been taken out, 24G 161 from consent to action. This is about the approval of the board and committee appointments. Ms. Allen, do you want to take it? Kick it off. I believe it's the only reason we have pulled it from consent is Dr. Esther's wants to abstain, right? Yes. Please go ahead and make a motion. I don't think.
I need to actually talk about why I'm abstaining.
Oh, please go ahead.
So I have moved this off. I moved this off of consent because I need to recuse myself from the actual vote regarding committees, because my husband is actually being considered for one of the committees. My abstention does not mean I don't consent, but I need to recuse myself.
Thank you. Trying to be good members of the body. Thanks so much. Now I entertain a motion, Mr. Adams.
Sure, I move to approve the advisory board and committee appointments.
Or if you have further comments? Probably not. Okay, no comments from the audience. I do not see no comments from the audience. Sorry, online. Coming back, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstention? And so the vote passes 601. Yeah, I think I'm right. All right, we're done with all the work sessions. Sorry, all the action items. Now we go to the two work session. The first one is the creation of the child care task force, and Mr. Gardiner, you are going to take it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll start us off and look forward to hearing your comments. Excuse me, this is a kind of a continuation of a discussion Council had in November, and you directed staff to speak with the Education Advisory Committee to see if they may be interested in taking on sort of a child care legislative monitoring and other kind of research under their charge. And staff did speak with the advisory committee, and they felt that it was a bit outside of their scope and they wouldn't be able to do what they are currently charged with doing if they also took on this additional work. And council asked that if that was the result of our inquiry, then to bring it back to council for a work session discussion on whether you wish to create a task force, and a task force typically being a committee of fixed duration. And if so, what are the things that you would like the task force to be charged with? And some of the items that you discussed at your last meeting on this topic was that a task force could monitor state legislation during the upcoming session and bring back to council legislation, proposed legislation that the city may wish to comment on because it would impact childcare in one way or another. Other ideas for the task force that you mentioned could be to sort of do some research, meet with existing child care providers in the city or nearby, and find out what they think would be helpful changes to either city policy or state policy that might expand access and lower cost. Similarly, just research state, federal, county programs and rules that are designed to help families access, either just physically access childcare facilities in their area. There's different locate childcare programs or kind of matchmaking, or that provide subsidies or other kinds of assistance for families. And then finally, I think I mentioned the legislative session, but to decide how long you wish for the committee or the task force to do this research and report back to you. So I think with that, I'm interested in hearing from council members to see if you still are interested in, forming a task force, or if there's a different way you'd like to pursue. And if it is a task force, kind of answering the questions at the bottom of the agenda form.
Thank you. Mr. Adams, thank you for coming up with the idea first, and thank you for your leadership.
Yeah, and Councilmember Whitney as well, and other
absolutely.
colleagues have an interest too. But, I support what is outlined here. I think it's well thought, and I think it highlights the main objectives that I would assume that we could do with a task force. So I agree with the 4 bullet points where we coordination on, potential state legislation and the 2025 General Assembly, interview or reach out to existing childcare providers and understand how we could lower costs and expand access, research programs and help us make sure residents are aware, and then some sort of report. I think on or before May 30th I have no objection to that timeline. I agree that a task force composed of 4 to 8 residents or specialists working in the profession in the city of College Park or surrounding areas that have a tie here. To me, that seems absolutely appropriate. So I think I'm yes, and I think this is well thought, and I support what's in here. To move forward with the task force, we would look to advertise and outreach to get 4 to 8 participants, and then they would use these bullet points to outline objectives over an approximately 6-month time period. Thank you.
Thank you. I do agree. It's well thought out, very well prepared. Thank you, staff. Mayor Protem?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the staff and to my colleagues, Councilmember Adams and Whitney, for coming together to bring this about. Councilmember Adams just mentioned about 4 to 8 individuals that also include experts in the area of child care. If I may drill down on that and ask someone from the Child Care Resource Center that talks about the combination of family as well as child care, someone from Child Care Administration Licensing off of Bright Sea Road that talks about the licensing capacity, staff ratios. I think that was something that was also mentioned. And they can also talk about the copay in regards to the process and the duration and what it takes for a parent to apply, and if feasible, if there's some kind of tweak that can be made to the current structure. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good point. Ms. Whitney, sorry I did not recognize you.
That's okay, thank you. I absolutely love the suggestions that that not only staff came up with. I completely agree with these bullet points. I had on my list a task force of 10 people, 2 residents per district. one representative from a daycare center, and one representative for home-based childcare. But I think the suggestions that the Mayor Pro Tem has just made actually cover those bases better as far as experts who would be present. I would assume a staff member who's might be leading the task force as well, might also bring some expertise to it, the liaison, yes. So I would like to have 2 residents per district if that's not too much, but just because there's a lot of work to do in a short amount of time.
Yeah, so I think it's aligns with the 4 to 8 residents, so it can go up to 8, 2 from each district.
And then 2 experts?
So that makes 10.
Right.
Just to be clear, we don't have any childcare experts on staff. So we do have staff that actually can help lead this. The staff that some people are thinking of in family youth senior services is not available. They are maxed out to capacity. So most likely Mr. Gardner is going to be taking up this task as the assistant city manager and taking on that role.
Thank you. Ms. Mackey?
Yes, I also thank the staff for the great ideas, and my 2 colleagues and my District 4, the Mayor Pro Tem, all the ideas that were put forth, I agree with. What I do want to say is that I very carefully was listening at the EAC meeting when they decided that they didn't feel like they could take this on, but they did feel like they would like to have 1 liaison from the committee on this. And somebody has mentioned that they would like that. So could we possibly consider keeping up a place for them? And I also, we hate when committees get too big because it's really hard for them to get things done, and we're giving them a short time frame. I mean, because it's already mid-December. But I think it's important that we have some experts as the Mayor Pro Tem, some residents, because and a representative from EAC. So
Thank you.
I totally concur with what the staff put in the report.
Will it be agreeable to everyone if we could keep 1 resident from every district, so 4 residents and then 3 experts, including ESC rep? That makes 7 in total. I'm just suggesting, Mr. Adam.
I concur with 1 from each district, and let's have enough spots if 1 district wants to have more than that. But I also think, if we want to, UMD should have some role in this too. We have a joint child care center in some regard should have some representation, but I think we're good. The only thing that I would want us to think about is, because of what Councilmember Mackey's pointing out, the short duration and the immediacy of this.
Yeah.
Some people are maybe reluctant to say I'm a committee member, but they can be a representative. And so I don't know if we want to say there's X amount of committee members, but then we also want to kind of like identify a representative that covers these other bases, right? But I don't know if that's decided tonight, but I think
someone can play.
I want to keep it a little open-ended to get the people that have the time, that want to provide the service as quickly to this committee as possible.
Mr. Hernandez.
I mean, so my mind is to try to get 2 expert residents from our districts if we have them. But to Councilmember Adams' point, similar to the other committees, and I don't think we should limit it in this specific one. Other people can come and attend, right?
They can always attend.
Yeah, and they can just speak on behalf. Like, I know I've had to ask many of our residents in District 1, hey, we have too many District 1 representatives. You can still show up if you're really passionate about it. You can be a part of that conversation. I mean, if no one has a problem with that, I think that fits and covers everyone else's requests.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 1 resident from each district. Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell.
That's not what I said, sir. I said 2.
You said 2.
Yeah, 2. Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't see your hand. Ms. Art, please.
So I just wanted to note that I previously worked at a school for special needs children and also a few daycares. I think it would be important or beneficial, at least, to have some sort of public school representation. I think even if a public school can't directly give a preschool or any sort of childcare, they might be able to, but even if that's not possible, they certainly see a lot of home situations and situations with even the kids' siblings, or they see a lot.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So what, Ms. Odd, I appreciate that, but I think what you're thinking about is home-based program, and that is usually under Head Start, and that's a whole nother different entity. So I think for what we're trying to get accomplished, if my two colleagues who proposed the idea was just to look at what is available, researching about what's available. But I think I like Woman Head Start. It's a good point, but I think we need to utilize our spaces intentionally. And I think we need to go with the well, Councilmember Hernandez wanted 2, and other colleagues wanted 1. So I think, Mr. Mayor, the decision point right now is 1 versus 2.
Yeah, a good point. I'm actually getting there. So it might be a good idea if we can get a straw poll. Let's see how many of us support 1 versus 2 from each district.
Can I speak on why I want 2, if that's okay?
Please.
So, like to Erica's point, Ms. Ott's point, in District 1, we have a plethora of representation, like, I guess, just interests. So we have Hollywood, who has that Head Start program where many residents are using that particular program for their early child care, like to fill that early child care need. But we also have Monarch Preschool and the daycare that's there. And some of the houses themselves are doing their own sort of early development, like child care at home. Yes. Excuse me?
Hold on. Let him finish. Let him finish.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so the reason I'd like 2 representatives is so that it can be equally, like, so that there can be some diversity in the council's, excuse me, in the committee's makeup, because I know a lot of people will want to be a part of this, just because it's so impactful across the spectrum, but, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Thank you. No, I see your point, but when the community goes big, that's the point other colleagues are making. It could be a little difficult to manage. Ms. Whitney.
I just wanted to iterate, like, basically the same reasoning that Councilmember Hernandez put forward. You know, we've had a lot of interest from the community about, you know, the work that this committee would do. So that's basically why we were thinking in terms of 2 representatives and different perspectives. I mean, we have a home-based daycare in you know, the neighborhood, and also, you know, residents who have for a long time expressed interest in this matter.
Thank you. Can I take it, Mr. Rick? I don't think he has spoken.
Yeah, I guess, you know, I am indifferent about 1 versus 2. I think I just wanted to make sure that we're scoping here in one specific regard. I think, you know, as far as daycare is concerned, so I think pre-K is not considered daycare, right? Are we including or not including pre-K? So daycare is, as I understand it, classically considered sort of like from birth up to pre-K. So basically age, you know, 1 day, though you wouldn't practically start at that age, but you get the idea. Up to the end of like the child's 3rd year of life. And then 4th year of life is typically you're talking about pre-K, which is now mostly in public schools in Maryland, although it's hit and miss depending on the district. And then, you know, in 5th grade is when you're typically starting kindergarten. So are we talking about true, what's our scope here? Are we talking, because pre-K is a whole other ball of wax. And there's a lot of action at the state level and at the national level about pre-K specifically. Are we just talking about daycare, i.e. 1 day to the end of age 3? Or are we talking about everything before the public schools really start in our area, which would be 1 day up to the end of the child's 4th year, roughly?
Mayor Pro Tem.
Councilman Rigg, that's a very good question, and what I would say to you is this: it will be age 6 weeks up to the age of 4.
And then I guess the other question I have, just for purposes of scoping, is I think we're talking about then at least 3, or 4 different models of providers. We're talking about licensed at-home daycares. We're talking about institutional daycares. We're talking about public and private pre-Ks, right? So is the goal to have a member of the committee to represent each one of those 4 models, or can speak in some regard about each of those 4 models? I mean, there are definitely, there's all sorts of reasons that parents choose those models. You know, sometimes it has to do with access, sometimes it has to do with cost, sometimes it has to do with the perception of quality. I also think, you know, we absolutely need to make sure we have a strong consumer's perspective on this and a diverse array of consumers' perspectives on this. So I don't know, it's sorry, I did what I hate when other people do, and that is like loop in a question and a comment, but I'll be quiet.
Thank you, Member.
Thank you again, Councilman Rigg, for your question and your loop in and all that. It's okay, it's all okay. So me recommending the Child Care Resource Center is an organization that deals with family child care, center-based, so they have, it's a twofold purpose, so maybe that can help with that question. But I do understand what you're saying in regards to the consumer part. I think we just need to look at having the residents come from your district, and then let's get to the 3 other entities, and then maybe we can add 2 additional spaces on there if need be to add during the task force duration, in case we need to seek, they need to seek other experts.
Thank you. So just make it a little broad instead of going in. So it's still, I think we haven't decided how many members from each district would be joining. Is it 2 or 1? I think I'm hearing both sides. Can I do a straw poll? Dr. Esther, sorry, I didn't see you.
No, it's okay. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to clarify, because what I'm hearing is the back and forth about 1 versus 2 residents, but I'm also questioning the expertise that everyone says needs to be a part of this. Are these experts to be a part of the task force? Are they supposed to be resources to provide information? Because then if we're utilizing their time to be a resource, then we can focus on the number of individuals we want to see on the task force.
Certainly, they, yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. When I was talking about the child care resource and licensing, they weren't gonna be part of your residents from your district. They were just gonna be the additional individuals who'll be there that they can ask questions to. Resource.
Right. I just think that we need to distinguish the roles that are being played here, because then it may make it easier for us to determine who we want on the task force, how many people. Yeah.
Yeah, so there can be, so there are either 4 or 8 residents and plus 3 experts, and they could be of different, they can have different expertise. Mr. Adams.
Yeah, I think those were some really good points made there, and I think I characterized it like a designated representative, someone to reach out to in the research. But there's a lot, and I think Councilmember Rigg put it well too, and Mayor Pro Tem. You know, there's a diversity of providers. There's so much. I do appreciate the 6 weeks to 4 years. I fully support narrowing it down and being explicit in that time frame. But I think this should be substantially made of residents that reach out to experts that are not part of the committee. So if they don't show up to every meeting, we're not worried about quorum and stuff like that, right? We reach out to them as appropriate. I think 8 residents is an appropriate number. And, you know, for me, you know, I prefer 1 from each district and then 4 at large, where we know that we're likely going to distribute amongst the if we get good applicants. But say District 3 only comes with 1 person who's really zealous, but District 2 has 3. Hey, I don't want to you know, I just don't want to have to beg people to be on. So that's what I meant by the 1 versus 2. And so I would say a minimum of one from each district, and understanding that if we have good applications and interest, we're gonna try to do 2 per, but we have 4 at large, and then we reach out to experts, as the Mayor Pro Tem and others have really good understandings with, to research as this is done. Thank you.
Okay, that's like that. Ms. Mackey?
So I just wanted to have a clarifying question. Would the resource people be voting members of the committee? No. Okay,
No,
so they
not.
wouldn't be. So, yeah, I'm fine with eight residents, at least one from each district. If everybody wants to do 2 from each district, I'm okay with that either. But also, please consider, do we want the person from the EAC to be a voting member, or do we want them to be a resource member?
If they're a resident, they could be a voting member.
I mean, if we want an odd number, just in case, I think it's appropriate to say, 8 residents and a minimum 1 from each district, as well as the EAC representative would be the committee, and they reach out to experts as needed
So,
and instructed.
Are you suggesting 9 voting members?
Yes, 9
Okay.
voting members.
All right, 9 voting members, 4 from each district, but 4 other 4s would be at large, is that you're suggesting? And then we can reach out for non-voting members that could be experts, that including what Mayor Pro Tem was suggesting. Is that, the Mayor, sorry, staff, you have direction?
Yeah, we've got 2 per district, 4 at large, plus 1,
1 for per district, 4 at large.
one at large?
Yeah.
1 per district, 4 at large? Gotcha. I
And
did
ESC.
read that wrong.
Plus ESC.
And plus the EAC.
Someone from ESC, and
So 9 voting members.
the others could join as non-voting members.
Yeah, and and actually that works a lot better for us in terms of reaching out to the external resources. Trying to get them on committees is almost impossible, so their schedules are worse than yours. So it's just the way it is right now. So in the timeline as well, trying to get this done in a timely manner and bring back something that is actionable for the council is also a priority for us. So just I think we have what we need.
Thank you. All right, I've done it. All right, the other work session, the last one we have is a discussion of the revolving loan fund programs at a small minority-owned business. This will taken by Michael Williams. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for waiting.
Hello? Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So before us tonight is a request from your group, and probably led by Mr. Adams. He and I have had some good discussions around revolving loan funds. And so actually it was an exciting request because I got to speak with and do some probing with some of my counterparts that I normally don't speak with throughout the state. Notably on this report, the staff report that I provided to you, we talked for a long time and went through some documents with the staff at the city of Hagerstown, and just to see how they created the program and it started. And I said that their program was funded with about $1.3 million. That was not given to them all in one day. Actually, it started out with $250,000 grants provided by the Department of Commerce, and then early on it was somewhat of a matching kind of thing. And then what happened was during COVID, the state of Maryland Department of Commerce went in to try to focus on the city of Baltimore and rural areas throughout the state. So that's where Hagerstown jumped on it and got a little bit more to fund their revolving loan program. Currently, they were full with 15 participants. To date, they now have 13 participants. 2 have paid off their loans, and so they have about $225,000 available to go back out, to revolve back out to new businesses. Their staff actually at the city of Hagerstown has administers the program along with any loans over $10,000. There's a 5-panel group appointed by the mayor and others to grade out the applications and to see if they're worthy of a revolving loan. Most of these loan, the terms are about 5 to 7 years. That was kind of a baked-in thing. It's very normal. They try to get them out, try to get the money back within 7 years. Notable on revolving loan programs, anything over $10,000 or $20,000, and these are throughout the municipalities that I spoke with in the state and read. You're going to have to come to the table with some property and some real collateral to do loans. So when you hear $200,000 revolving loan to a business, they probably they had ownership of the business and the property, and then there's also some collateral requirements there. So I just tried to give us some information on it. The city of Mount Rainier, which is close to us, they have one that is, they have a loan program that is actually serviced by FSC First, which is right in Lake Arbor, in the Largo area, as I refer to it. And the president of the bank over there is a wonderful person by the name of Dawn Medley, and she was going to join us tonight. I decided that if there is a next time to talk about this, we could bring her to talk about structure if we do proceed with this, and requirements, other requirements. So in the report, I kind of go through and try to give you a feel for, yes, there are municipalities that are doing it. The service provider way of doing it kind of gives staff a little bit of relief from not taking on too much. And FSC First is really good at it. They're known throughout the state in this area. And then the other thing that you should note is that as we run into kind of like in a scattered way, inconsistent way, is that when we run into folks that are interested in loans, immediately I refer them over to the EDC, Prince George's County EDC. So we have a little competition. There are other ways to get into a revolving loan fund, but it's a tool that could be used in College Park. I think of some of the uses of some of our ARPA dollars probably could have helped us propel a revolving loan fund. But just wanted to kind of hear your thoughts and kind of create a discussion around it. And again, Ms. Adams, sorry for taking so long to bring it. So, but it was exciting. I actually, there's some people around the state that are really trying to do more with revolving loan funds and trying to not do the kind of the wheelbarrow thing. They're looking for tech companies and newer ventures. So it was good. It was good. It was a good exploration and time well spent.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your work. And I know you're right. A couple of us have been asking for a program for our, especially geared towards supporting our minority small businesses within College Park. So thank you. Finally, looks like it's happening. I see hands. Please forgive me. Can I come from left to right? Okay. Mr. Adams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Williams, for bringing this here today. And it's another tool to consider on how we support businesses, prospering in the city of College Park. And recognizing the interest rates today are elevated, and they might stay that way for many years. And we'd like for folks to invest here and have different options to make that happen. So I really appreciate what is brought forward here. I think it's succinct and it makes sense in terms of that, getting this conversation moving more, where Hagerstown does it, as a municipality and has a robust program that has grown over the years. And that is a template we could potentially follow, but also looking at Mount Rainier, that works with a loan servicer to kind of facilitate everything, but they likely control a lot of the prioritization of the funds, and I think both have their advantages. I'm sure we could talk about, you know, the seed funding, where could it potentially come from, and is it more likely that the Department of Commerce would give you seed funding if it was municipality run rather than servicer run, or there's a lot of different nuance to it. But I think for us, I would encourage us to understand what is the most prominent gap that we want to fill in the marketplace, right? You mentioned that there are loans from, you know, from the county, right, and the county entity. You know, for me, you know, we've been blessed with the ARPA funding, right, and have given robust grants to different businesses expanding or relocating or you know, coming to the city of College Park. But you know, that funding continuum is uncertain, and so creating a revolving loan that allows that replenishment, I think, could serve a benefit. But I don't think we're looking to overburden our city staff or ourselves on that. And so you know, my question as we look to this, and we're not going to solve it today by any means, is are we most targeted to that individual that wants to start a new booth at the farmer's market and needs $3,000 to $5,000 to make that happen? Or are we talking about the business that wants to relocate to a vacant retail spot that's been vacant for, you know, 2 years, and they got, you know, they're assembling all their options to make it work, and they need $150,000 to get it to the finish line? You know, are we there to help them move forward? And does that necessarily look at both a municipality-based program as well as a servicer-based program? Because there's nothing that says we can't do a hybrid, right? And so for me, I think simplicity is a benefit here. We should find the least path of resistance, because it will give us a tool and we can iterate it, right? We can learn over time. But I would think that, you know, setting good minimums is really important. And so I see Hagerstown, you know, has a minimum of $5,000, and you're thinking about like the mom and pop at the farmer's market, we're in the right ballpark. But you're thinking about a retail fit out in the cost of doing business in College Park, that's pretty low. So I would think that, you know, we might want a program that is $50,000 or something that starts at a minimum of $25,000, is really, we're here to get you to that next step. And it's more, it's a higher level. And then maybe there's a sister program or another one that's geared to that lower, you know, 5,000 to 15,000 or something, and we simplify each process to meet people where they are, and so that's what I have. But regardless, it's great to have this conversation. There's so many ways to potentially do this, and I think finding that way will set College Park up to success for many decades. It's that, you know, we're talking about establishing something here that likely will last decades, and so want to make sure we do it right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Whitney and Mr. Hernandez.
I think Councilmember Adams said a lot that I might want to say about this, but I do like the idea of, I like the idea of a diversity, of helping a diversity of businesses. You know, it might be that you have a smaller business that is just looking to do something, you know, like maybe they make leather handbags and they want to sell them at the farmer's market, but, you know, eventually they would like to make enough money to do that to get into a storefront. You know, so I think there's some potential of growth in those smaller loans that you might put out there. I also agree that there are a lot of questions that we still need answered as far as like I mean, it seems like it would be nice to have a, you know, something funded by the Maryland Department of Commerce grant, but run it through biz to biz. But I don't know, you know, I don't know if there are limits on that as far as what we're allowed to do. So I would love to learn more about that. And finally, I just think this is a good path at this particular time for us to explore, because we are entering an environment where there have been threats made of, massive job cuts to one of our biggest area employers, the federal government. And I think we might see ourselves with an influx of entrepreneurs that maybe we didn't have before. So being prepared to help people get off the ground in a way that also makes us a more vibrant community for all, I think is a great thing to consider.
Points. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. And then Dr. Esters.
No, Council Member Esters. We were going from that side to this side. Yeah.
Okay, if you agree with that. Dr. Esters, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, for providing this information. It is very, very helpful. I agree with my colleagues about this being a potential tool that could really attract individuals to bring business here to the city. I wanted to say, though, that I don't believe that we as a city need to take on and carry the burden of coordination of something like this. I think the model that is referenced here for Mount Rainier could very well be a model that I could get on board with, but would love to learn more. And I think that for me is the most important piece. How is it working in Mount Rainier? Are people taking advantage of it? Where do they see challenge? Where has it really worked? So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hernandez.
Hi, yeah, so a couple of different things, and they're kind of all over the place. But let me just start off with, like many of the programs in Maryland that help address the and support the minority and small business organizations. I'd like for this program to include veterans under that same umbrella. You can see vet certs. I mean, this is all over Maryland and in Montgomery County and Prince George's County. If we're going to do our own city one, I'd like it for veterans to be included from our military. I will say, what gives me pause is and this is just potentially some things to look into, but what risk mitigation we would be taking if we were to help basically facilitate these loans. I think it's a wonderful opportunity for folks to get in at the ground floor, or to, I guess, flourish from a particular part of the business development model that they may have. But I mean, I think I agree with Councilmember Adams that there's different scopes for different types of businesses. So I think we should keep that in mind as we move forward. I envision this being a slightly more mature program rather than one from just scratch. I don't think the city should be in the business of providing those small business loans to folks who are just starting. I understand and recognize the potential job risks that may be on the horizon. However, I just don't think that that's what we want to do with this particular program. But I am encouraged that we're looking at this. I just think that we need to proceed cautiously as to what is our actual goal. And I think for me, our goal would be to see small businesses and some of these vacant storefronts filled.
Just to speak a little, I'm sorry.
Please go.
Just speak a little bit to that. You talk about how do you deal with risk, and when you talk about filling in a storefront vacancy, wherever it is in the city, you do have to measure the risk in that and try to believe in the project that's before you. But anyways, I totally agree with you. Yep.
Thank you. And I don't know if it's in our, excuse me, maybe it's somewhere in here, but if we're going to charge any sort of interest rates, and if we do that, are we allowed to do that as a city?
Yeah.
These are just questions that I know are much more in depth, and wasn't expecting to have that conversation today, but just things to think about.
Right. So we know that we're not in the money-making business to make money on loans, but I think that there is some, there's a spread in there to recognize staff, to recognize if we do a service provider like FSC first, that we'll have to consider rates and penalties and fines and stuff like that. So we'll get to that once we bring the conversation back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, on the Mount Rainier program model, did you get a chance to get some information, things like how many loans they gave, or what is the total amount?
That's a good one. Yep, they have about 7 active loans on their books right now. They are, they're not up to their $1 million limit at all. As a matter of fact, they have under consideration right now about some of the participants have $25,000 loans that the city is considering to be forgivable. You kind of got into that. I don't know how you loan and then forgive, and then as an entity, as us, we reconcile that. So we can get into that a little bit more with FSC first. I'm sorry, Mr. Young.
Mr. Young.
No, I think this is a good conversation. It is one of the areas, the risk is definitely something that me and Mr. Williams have talked about quite a bit in terms of these programs. Knowing this council is very risk averse in terms of what they would like to see us put our city dollars towards. While these are good programs, these programs also have their downside, which is the inability for a lot of the participants to be able to pay back the loans. So while you'll have some successes, you'll have many failures. So that's just been the experience of most of these programs that we've dealt with across the country. I would suspect ours wouldn't be any different.
Okay.
Just small talk, but we had a good giggle with City of Hagerstown. They have one lady who's kind of like the collector, you know, but anyways, it's late.
It's a full-time stuff. Thank you. Ms. Mankey.
I actually like this idea, and we had November 30th, I think, was Small Business Awareness Day or something.
Saturday. Small Business Saturday.
It's Small Business Saturday, so I guess it's a very appropriate time that you brought it. But I think it's really important that we set our goals. Like, what exactly are we trying to do? Are we trying to, put something in the storefronts that we already have? Are we trying to help make our, farmers market bigger? Like, we need to have set goals. And I think that's really important that we have. And we also have to have limitations. And I think we also have to have realizations that it might fail, like this is something that we're going to try possibly, but that we might have people that default on their loans and make sure that we can deal with that. And we have had that happen before in the past. We have helped different entities and they have not, paid back. So, that's of course the worst case scenario. We don't want that. We want to be able to, have a small business, we help them, and then they pay us back and we can help another small business. I think that's how it works. I guess it's called recycling funds or whatever.
Revolving.
I don't know what the technical term is, but
Right.
I just think it's really important that we're setting our goals, because this could be really a big thing, and revolving loan fund, I think we have to have very specifics, and so that would be my recommendation. I like the idea. I love the idea of encouraging vets. I think that that's really an important thing that we do. Encouraging, women-owned businesses or minority-owned businesses. And I think it's a great idea to also think, where do we have an empty storefront, you know, and see what small businesses. But I think it's really important that we help small businesses because this is, you know, these are the salt of the earth people that are just starting out. And a lot of them are, you know, could be new immigrants into this country or whatever, so.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Going back to Mount Rainier, even Hagerstown, do you have any sense of the criteria, as a couple of council members asking, or how long they have been running this program, and is there any success stories or anything they shared with you?
No, they had some minimum requirements. I do have the application. I believe there was a minimum requirement to have been in business for a while to be able to produce tax returns to reflect that your Schedule C or your 1120S forms that you would provide to a lender or a grant provider. So yeah, these are they're small. From just what I'm gathering, when we do implement a program, it'll probably have to just be small so that we can knock out the kinks before we go to six-figure loans. So.
Okay. I see. I'm gonna give a first bite opportunity, Mr. Rigg.
No, I'm generally supportive. I agree with decreasing the administrative burden or partnering with county or state. I think county, probably economic development, is going to be a potentially really good partner for this. I'm also, glad that you're already talking with other municipalities who have their systems in place. I kind of think about this, as our colleagues have suggested, as filling a very particular niche, and a revolving loan fund in particular seems particularly good for sort of microcredit or micro lending opportunities for smaller entrepreneurs. And ideally, if we could, I wouldn't even mind, I wouldn't mind, as part of our budget discussion, creating some seed funding for a revolving loan fund, knowing that some number of those are going to fail. But if we find the right partners, I think we can also have in place some supports and some sources for technical assistance for smaller entrepreneurs so that we can increase their odds of succeeding. I know Small Business Administration and their cooperative agreement partners offer a lot of these sorts of courses. I suspect that probably the state is one of their grantees, but the state probably has their own small entrepreneur training tracks. And perhaps, I don't know, I don't want to add a ton of city staff just for purposes of a relatively small scale micro lending program. But I really like the idea, and I would love to figure out a way to be able to do that, because as a colleague said, I forget who, we have our grant program currently for sort of relatively lower risk, higher profile sorts of projects. Thinking storefronts with people with known capital and known credit. I think we need something for, if we're serious about wanting to attract smaller and small minority-owned businesses, we need to be able to create an environment where we can take some risk here as an organization but having that risk sort of mitigated somehow, either through partnerships or through training or through both. Also, the structure of a revolving loan does a little bit of that too, because if all the money's out the door and it's not coming back in, then the revolving loan doesn't revolve anymore.
It doesn't revolve. It's a one-way street.
Carousel comes to an end. So, that's sort of built into the structure to some extent. But this has been successful, certainly in international contexts, and I'm sure there's been, local examples of it being successful as well.
Thank you, Mr.
We to Mr. Rigg's point, we mentioned the word incubator, and that was because we do want to educate our small business people on how to do smarter things. One of the things we learned some of the closures of businesses is not just Campus Village, it's all throughout the city and other areas, is that the merchants were not quite aware and quite sure of the lease agreements that they signed. And so to bring them in, also that we, my office spearheaded the efforts to do the PNC Purple Line grant $75,000. Well, they had a requirement, so we were meeting Wednesday mornings for like I think it was almost 2-hour session down at the PNC branch here near in the Astor project. So, yeah, we will continue to kind of go on that. It's just not about access to a few dollars. It's going to be trying to educate our small business people. So, yeah.
Thank you. All right, second by Dr. Estes.
I think the reasons for doing this are noble, and everything that everyone has mentioned is all for good. I do think that we need to think about this as it relates to risk aversion and be ready to have something fail. I heard what the city manager said, and I don't think that we often think in those terms. So if we're going to do something like this, we really need to be ready to determine how much are we willing to lose. If things work out, it's wonderful, and we have a good story to tell. But we also need to be ready for the risk.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good discussion. Maybe the last one, Mr. Hernandez.
Yeah, I mean, mine's really quick. So where I'm at with regards to like what we do, if it's possible, I think partnering with additional entities is great, but just limiting the exposure. I think when I was walking around at one point, one of the residents told me that we at one point forgave like a $500,000 loan of some sort. And I just don't want to put us in a position to, because those are taxpayer dollars, right? We're trying to, protect, or at least be fiscally responsible with. I completely understand the small. If we go with the smaller loans, I mean, we have less risk, right? Especially if we just want to slowly roll this out and see where it could go in like a pilot capacity of some sort.
Right.
So
I think that's where Mr. Adams was last year, just kind of slow pitching this and seeing where we are.
Mr. Adams, yeah, just wrap up.
I fully am in concert with my colleagues here, but I just want to recognize that we've been very generous with some large level grants over the past few years that if they were revolving loans at 0% interest rates, that money would come back to us to then revolve it, right, to others in the future. And so 15 loans at $5,000 is a heavy amount of administration. One loan at $125,000 is a much less amount of administration. And so we think about, and that's where I said, what is the gap that we need to resolve? And I think there are two gaps, and we have to see which one do we want to prioritize first, and who's the right partner, what's the right structure. And I don't think we should take on both at the same time and find which we, as a council and as a city, feel like the first priority should be. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we had a good conversation. We talked about the risk aversion, how can we mitigate the risk, talked about some of the parameters, some of the requirements, and also there are some comments about administrative duty. We do not put a lot of burden on our staff as well. So I think we had some good conversation. Do you think you're at a point you can go to the next step and come up with some suggestions?
We'll come back and perhaps Mr. Young.
Yeah, we'll put together a package, and actually we're coming up pretty quickly on starting the budget process already, so we'll try and get that just kind of a work session kind of scheduled, hopefully prior to even talking about the budget, so kind of have an idea of kind of where the council is looking in terms of funding, and kind of put together a sample kind of program of what it would look like. So I'll work with Mr. Williams on that.
Thank you. I think the general sense is that we start even in a small scale as a pilot program. I think that is the sense I'm getting. Thank you. Thank you again for working on it. Appreciate that. All right. The next item, we're doing good. It's only 11:10. Sorry, 11:10. Request for status of future agenda items. I haven't seen any application. Mr. Hernandez?
Yeah, I was gonna put in a request. I don't know if if we can do it after the fact. I've seen many of us do it after the fact, but before the end of the year, to have a conversation with council and everyone and city staff about a strategic communications plan, like that goes a little bit wider than where we're at right now. I think we've moved, I think, very, very far from where we first started to where we are now in terms of getting the message and word out about different events and council activities that are going on. I think that there's still some room to grow, either that be through physical infrastructure or just an overall communication plan for the city. I've had some conversations with my colleagues here and spoke to the city manager.
Thank you. Please do submit an application, and certainly we'll be approving it.
Does that need a second?
He hasn't submitted any application yet.
Well, we've done it in the past. Yeah.
I'll second it. If,
Okay.
oh, yeah.
I motion to submit this council an agenda item.
Second.
All right, I am hearing some comments that we should be submitting the application. We could approve it if the council wants. Sorry, Mr. Rick?
Yeah, I apologize. I know that we've been played fast and loose with this in the past.
Yeah.
I think, as I've thought about it, it's probably a violation of our rules, so we would need to waive the rules to be able to do this. And but I also don't want to, Mr. Hernandez, feel like I'm moving the bar on
No,
him.
I'm not against it.
I mean, I think I'm curious. I just don't know enough about what it is we're actually talking about to support it, I think, at this point personally, just because, you know, it's a large concept, could go in a lot of different directions. And
So that is the reason the application form would be helping that, because you have the opportunity to write it down, put some links and other studies, that kind of stuff, and if you have talked to other council members before or staff. So that is the reason we came up with this application form.
It's okay. You know what? I'll go ahead and submit it and then do it the right way. I've just seen
Thank
like
you.
at least 4 other council members do the same thing, but it's okay. I'll do it
Yeah,
differently.
probably, yeah, we should have done it.
I'm going to be more consistent about raising an objection in the future. And
No,
I
just
think
think
us
that
waive the rules because it is a bad habit.
it's just interesting to hear that some people
Yeah.
are making comments and they did it themselves. So thank you.
I agree, we should have done a better job, so thank you. All right, seeing none, let's go to the comments from audience. We don't have anyone actually. Let's see online if you have anyone. Don't see any virtual hands. Come back. Comments from the mayor, council, and the student liaison. Mr. Rigg?
Pass.
And Mr. Adams?
Happy holidays, Happy New Year.
Thank you. And Ms. Mackey?
Just wanted to remind my council colleagues about the families that we support, to, I think, is it Thursday we're supposed to have everything into YFSS? I'm not sure of the date, but
I believe
just
it is.
check
I believe it is Thursday.
Yeah, just check your emails. Thank you.
And Ms. Mayor Protem?
Happy holidays to all the families in College Park and to the students and anybody who visits here.
Yeah, thank you. I also like to express happy holidays, but also respond to a couple of requests. I personally have come across, and I just want to briefly respond to that, and let me read this out. So as we entered the holiday season, we have received a few thoughtful requests from the members of the Jewish community regarding the recognition of their religious symbols. This is an important matter that involves legal considerations, and we want to ensure that we approach it with the care and attention it deserves. The city is actively reviewing the issue and will work to provide an informed and thoughtful resolution. As a city, we deeply value the diversity of our community, including the rich diversity of faith and religious traditions that strengthen and unite us. In the meantime, I want to extend my sincerest Greetings to all those celebrating faith traditions. May your celebrations bring joy, peace, and togetherness. Happy holidays. So thank you all who actually brought this to our attention. Ms. Whitney?
Yes, I just wanted to thank the Berwyn District Civic Association for a lovely Berwyn bonfire event. They had to cancel it or postpone it twice because of high winds. So finally it happened this past Friday, and it was really great, and the fire was quite warm, and the s'mores were delicious.
It was wonderful. I had an opportunity. Those are in the refrigerators. Dr. Estes.
Just want to acknowledge the Lakeland Civic Association for their annual tree lighting event that was held this past Sunday. It was lovely as usual, and some of the best hot cocoa I think I've had. Thank you.
Thank you. It was wonderful. Yeah, it's good turnout as well. Mr. Hernandez.
Yeah, I just wanted to congratulate the Dar es Salaam community and Al Hada community for a wonderful gala that they had on Saturday. The mayor and I helped deliver the proclamation from mayor and council for their 30-year commitment and service to our community. Today, had the opportunity to go to just a statewide event with the Maryland Latino, I guess, like group. It was good to hear how some of the other municipalities are working with community liaisons to help traffic cop essentially many of the issues and get increase civic engagement and involvement. So I'm hopeful to bring some of those lessons here. Honestly, thank you for an outstanding year. I think this is my first year as council, and I look to my colleagues, although sometimes we change the rules. No, it's okay, it's all right. But yeah, just for me. It's all right. Rules for me, not for thee. But I do. I thank my colleagues for like the advice, the guidance, the talking me down from sending a nasty email, Dr. Esters. So I really, really appreciate it. And thank you to city staff for the hard work that you all have done. And just because I don't think anything should be too censored, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year's. Happy holidays to everyone.
Absolutely. Ms. Art.
Just also want to echo happy holidays to everyone in College Park.
Thank you. Ms. McNauls.
Also want to say happy holidays to everyone. Be safe. Be kind to yourself.
Certainly. To City Manager, Mr. Young.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we come to the end of the meeting. I do not have any closed session, thankfully.
Motion adjourned.
Entertain a motion.
Second.
Yeah, staff got who's the primary? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, any abstention? Good night, College Park.